I'm Jeff Hunt. He's Bill Thorpe. It's Wednesday.
Do you know where your tenant funds are? Polis is looking for his.
One of my favorite memes out there is trying to explain to people that there was a generation where at 10 o'clock, parents were reminded to figure out where their kids were.
Oh, yeah. I've lived in that generation. It's fantastic.
Because we're such helicopter parents now. All of our kids have phones and tracker devices and all that stuff.
That would have been awful.
They came on the television at 10 o'clock to remind parents who were, obviously tuning into late night or the news or whatever, a few beers in, a few old Milwaukee's into the night, to go find your kids.
Oh, yeah. The freedom was glorious and celebrated.
Are you seeing those headlines that's like 70s parenting's coming back?
Oh, I wonder. I wonder if it is. Because, again, I mean...
It's called the FAFO parenting style.
I mean, again, I'm of a point where child seats, those were barely. I mean, seat belts. My cousin and I, when we were under the age of 9, used to jump on the back seat of my grandmother's car as she was driving down the road. And we were bouncing on the giant couch-like back seat in the land yacht she was piloting down Hamden or Alameda or Monaco, wherever we were headed. Oh, yeah. And
we all had mom stick her arm out to keep you from flying into the dash.
Yeah. My favorite was when he'd go by the car and mom and dad were smoking and the windows were rolled up and the kids are inside. I still remember that stuff.
Well, Trump administration freezing Colorado funding for child care. It's called TANF. Is the program. And bottom line, Trump thinks that there's fraud involved. U.S. Department of Health and Human Services announced it has frozen more than $10 billion in total funds meant to help with child care, social services, and low-income families in Colorado, Minnesota, New York, California, and Illinois, citing concerns about widespread fraud and the misuse of taxpayer dollars. The Trump administration has not offered any specific allegations of fraud yet in Colorado. But it's just a reminder to people, Colorado ain't the most friendly state when it comes to sharing data with the Trump administration. My goodness, what are we at, like 40 lawsuits right now over all this stuff? You can't have voter data. You can't have Medicaid data, TANF data. I mean, they're fighting them on all sides of this. So Democrats not happy. Families who rely on child care and family assistance programs deserve confidence that their resources are used lawfully and for intended purposes, Deputy HHS Secretary Jim O'Neill said in a statement Tuesday evening. This action reflects our commitment to program integrity, fiscal responsibility, and compliance with federal requirements. The stat comes from the Heritage Foundation. I love to use it because it just blows everybody's mind. Since the war on poverty began under LBJ, America has spent more money on its safety social net and has had no measurable difference in alleviating the poverty percentage in this country than all the wars that America has fought combined. That's the size of our social safety net in this country. And the poverty rate, still the same. You want to talk about failed war? That is a failed war. We've created a country of dependency, not liberty. Prove me wrong. Call me and tell me how much of a terrible Christian I am. 303-696-1971. Text us on the Dan Caplis Law text line, 720-819-5115. Now it's time for the news.
Blake Olson.
Blake Olson, news and comment.
Hey, good morning. It's Wednesday, 29 and sunny in Denver as you listen to the fellas. Expecting a high of 55 today. News sponsored by Pastor Camp Heating and Air Conditioning at 303-777-1234 to learn more about special savings opportunities on Lennox equipment. Our top story
We don't know the details of this mission yet today, but so far they've been involved essentially in just bringing the Coast Guard to the ship.
A Venezuelan-linked oil tanker has been seized by the U.S. Multiple reports say the U.S. launched the operation in the North Atlantic today after tracking it for the past 2 weeks. The U.S. first tried to seize it off the coast of Venezuela on December 20th. 47 says Venezuela will turn over 30 to 50 million barrels of oil to the U.S. to be sold at market value.
Mr. Trump said the money will be used to benefit the people of Venezuela and the United States. By Wednesday, officials in Venezuela had not confirmed any agreement had been reached or what they would receive in return.
DJT added that he asked Energy Secretary Chris Wright, Colorado's own, of course, to get things going immediately.
We're finally in a season where people are responding with incitement, enthusiasm, and confidence in my campaign that there's a candidate who can actually win the general.
Victor Marks running for governor, and he has the cash. He was on the show this morning with the fellas and you heard it here first. If I could read this. You heard it here first. You heard it here first. His campaign has raised over $600,000, and there's a lot of energy around Marks.
People know I'm not a politician, and I'm not about politicking. And I think they see a consistency of what I've said from the beginning and how I've refused to play by the handbook or playbook of a lot of politicians. I just said I wouldn't do it. And what I mean by that is I've been told by other candidates and groups, you have to come here, you have to speak, you have to do this. And I would say, well, we have a very disciplined, structured, strategic approach to campaigning. We're going to stick to it. They'd say, but the people need to know. And I would go, well, if the object is to win the general election and I'm winning, I'll stick to what we're doing because the people from all 64 counties in Colorado are proving it that I'm their choice.
And raised over $600,000. That's quite an accomplishment. He says he's bringing back plastic bags. And if that's the only thing he does, I'm voting for him. That's it. I'm done.
I think he could unite a lot of people on that.
I think so. I think it all comes back to that.
We get some text messengers, Suzanne, for instance, who just thinks we're
Suzanne doesn't like it.
Thinks we're evil because of our plastic bags. But
here, can you explain this to me? I mean, we talk about this all the time, but if you aren't using plastic bags in the supermarket, what about all the other plastic that is in the supermarket?
Everywhere.
Everywhere. I'm confused.
It's plastic in your milk. It's plastic in your salads. It's plastic around your strawberries. There's plastic
in your
everywhere.
Food.
But the one thing you can't do is carry them to the car with plastic.
Right.
God forbid.
God. Unbelievable. Speaking of health and plastic in your food and plastic all over the place and no plastic bags at the store, Health Secretary RFK Jr. will take part in a White House briefing later today. Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins will also be in attendance. Leavitt said the secretaries will make yet another major MAHA announcement. The government of Denmark has requested an urgent meeting with Secretary of State Marco Rubio. DJT claims the country is unable to protect Greenland.
European allies are voicing deep concern amid new details from the White House that President Trump and his team are discussing a range of options for acquiring Greenland and that using the U.S. military is always an option, calling it a national security priority.
And White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said the island is important because it could be used to deter American adversaries in the Arctic. Newly released transcripts reveal the gunman in the deadly Brown University shooting confessed on video to the attack. Federal prosecutors say he also admitted to killing an MIT professor 2 days later. The recordings were found at a New Hampshire storage facility where Claudio Neves Valente was found dead by suicide. In case you didn't hear it, John Harbaugh fired by the Ravens on Tuesday after 18 years. He's gone, and he'll probably have a new job today or in the next 2 days in the NFL.
Hey, Blake,
NHL.
That was kind of a surprise for me because I thought the question was going to be over Lamar Jackson, not over not over Harbaugh. That surprised me.
Yeah, it kind of did me as well. They probably flipped a coin. Is it going to be Lamar or is it going to be John Harbaugh?
You know, and I think we can agree. What happened is they looked at the financial table and said it was going to cost us more money to move. And firing Harbaugh much cheaper than trying to move Lamar. Yeah, all right.
Great point.
Yeah.
No, I couldn't agree with you more. The Avalanche lose to the Lightning 4-2 last night. And it's 28 in Parker, 27 in Louisville, and 29 in Denver. You're waking up with Jeff and Bill, and my name is still Blake Olson. News Talk 710 KNUS.
More of the same, sunny to partly sunny skies, unseasonably mild with mid to upper 50s today, lows tonight near 30, and partly cloudy skies, middle to upper 50s Wednesday, 30s Wednesday night. We actually have a change in the weather coming at the end of the week. Actually could have some winter weather. Becoming cloudy Wednesday night with areas of light snow developing Thursday. Highs Thursday will be low to mid 40s and temperatures falling. Light snow Thursday night, much colder upper teens. Cold Friday, a few snow showers, highs 30s. Meteorologist Don Day in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
Billy, I need to issue a correction here. Suzanne has asked me to issue this correction. She said I did not say that plastic bags were evil, and then I'm a liar. She did say that there are no more plastic bags in trees and that people are lazy for not carrying bags with them. And then she said I'm a terrible Christian. So. All right. There's your clarification, Suzanne. If you want to come hang out with this terrible Christian, you can hang out with me and my wife and Heidi and Jarvis Caldwell. We're all going to be Saturday night at the club at Rolling Hills for the Golden Summit. This is really cool because this is just a group of motivated, local conservatives. Oftentimes people are like, well, what can we do? You have all these politics seems big and all this money and lobbyists. What can I do? Well, this group has gotten together an absolutely fantastic event. They're like pro event planners. They're right up there. This has live country rock music, home style barbecue, Western chic. You can get your own personalized hat by Taylor Hats, by the way. Taylor Hats was at NFR, sold out there. At the National Finals Rodeo, they're going to be at this event. They've pulled together everybody at this amazing event at the club at Rolling Hills, Saturday, January 10th, 5:30 to 8:30. Joining us now is the organizer of it, Lindsay Malaconi, to give us an update. Good morning, Lindsay. Thanks for joining the Jeff and Bill Show.
Yes, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Jeff and Bill. Thanks for having me.
Well, you're coming up on this event. I think there's only a few tickets left before you're sold out. But tell folks what this is all about and why you put it together, the Golden Summit.
Yeah, so the Golden Summit, it's a night for leaders, prospective candidates, and anyone who's desiring a change in Colorado to come together and help us build Colorado's conservative future. And we've got a Western theme that calls back to Colorado's past with our rugged, freedom-loving heritage.
Would you say rugged individualism?
Absolutely.
Sorry, Mom Donnie. Not allowed. That is awesome. Tickets, $80. Very affordable for a wonderful night. And you can get details at hd30jeffcorepublicans.com, hd30jeffcorepublicans.com, or go to my X account. I'll have a link directly there. But you guys are almost sold out.
We are. When I talked to you a few weeks back, you said we'd be sold out by Thursday, and we are pacing for that, if not today.
I happen to host events in Colorado on a regular basis. And Coloradans, we're going one day at a time. One day at a time. Maybe not big 6-month planners. Well, that's great. You got my wife and I will be speaking there, but you've also got Jarvis Caldwell. He's the top Republican in the Colorado House of Representatives, and Heidi Ganahl. What are people going to hear if they attend the Golden Summit?
So I'm hoping that people hear about why they need to get involved, a reminder there, and then just a better understanding of what our state needs in terms of time, talent, and treasure, but then also learning about a bit about last session, next session, and also what it takes, what it looks like to run a winning race. And so I'm looking forward to hearing from Jarvis and Nicole on those topics. I know that Nicole had a really tough fight. I can't wait to meet her and hear about that. And then, Jarvis is working with a whole team of people, himself and his team of people who have run tough races, but they were able to win. And I know in Colorado it's tough, but Republicans can win. And that's something that I hope everybody feels encouraged with after our event.
We're listening to Lindsay Malaconi. She's with the Golden Summit, featured this Saturday at Rolling Hills, which is in Golden. Beautiful place up there. And it's going to kick off around 5:30. And they've got live country music. They've got barbecue. They've got custom cowboy hats, all that stuff up there. It's going to be a ton of fun. But one of the things that's really important is you're looking to maybe even recruit people to run for office in some particular areas. Talk to us about those particular areas that you'd love to see people come from to attend this event.
Yes, so I chair House District 30 Republicans, and I'm partnering on this event with House District 24 Republicans. And so House District 30 is right in the heart of Lakewood, and we also cover Edgewater, so Lakewood and Edgewater, and then House District 24 is in the heart of Arvada. And, we absolutely want to meet and work with any Republican in the state, but we particularly want to find people looking to become a candidate, maybe now, maybe 10 years from now, coming out to this event and making connections and just putting their toe in the pond and learning, making connections, and thinking about what it could be like in the future.
This is the type of local organizing that's so absolutely critical. A lot of people don't know this, but Lakewood, for instance, is overrun by this Working Families Party, which sounds nice, like every socialist does out there. But in reality, they're just kind of socialist communists, and they've taken over the city council. They've taken over a lot of these localities. So you need local events like this to kick it off, get the energy back. The Golden Summit, January 10th, this Saturday, 5:30 to 8:30, the club at Rolling Hills. If you go to x.com/Jeff Hunt, I just posted the details right there. They're nearly sold out, and this is going to be a ton of fun. Plus, you got customized hats from Taylor Hats. And you can get this hat right before the National Western Stock Show, which is kicking off. So you could look good out there with a custom hat. Go check them out. My wife and I will be there. Lindsay Malaconi is going to be there. Heidi Ganahl, Jarvis Caldwell. It's going to be a ton of fun. Don't miss it. Lindsay, thank you for taking time to join the Jeff and Bill Show this morning.
Yes, thank you so much. And a reminder, if you guys want to get in on the action, there's only a handful of tickets left. If you're waiting to this afternoon or tomorrow morning, you may get shut out of this wonderful event. So do not wait on this one. Go to the website, get tickets ASAP.
All right. Thank you, Lindsay.
Thanks, guys.
All right, we want to hear from you. Trump administration freezing Colorado's funding for childcare and families via TANF, Temporary Assistance for Needy Families, $7.35 billion in cuts to 5 states. TANF provided cash assistance and job training so that parents in poverty could afford diapers and clothes and earn paychecks so they wouldn't need public assistance as much. Child Care and Development Fund, a cut of nearly $2.4 billion in cuts, subsidized daycare for low-income households, enabling parents to work or go to school. And the Social Services Block Grant, $869 million in cuts, supported several different social service programs. Here's the question I have for our listeners, okay? In light of what happened in Minnesota, do you believe that these cuts, particularly to blue states, is warranted? That there's got to be clarity, research, and analysis into where this money's going in order to address fraud? Or is this cold-hearted Trump cutting essential services for the poor, in part because he doesn't like these blue states, particularly Colorado, and what they've done to Tina Peters? Is this political retribution? Give us a call and join the conversation, 303-696-1971. Text us on the Dan Caplis Law Text line, 720-819-5115. Let's talk Colorado Christian University this summer. With the future of America at stake, American conservatism takes center stage at the Western Conservative Summit, July 31st through August 1st at Colorado Christian University. As we mark the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence, the summit will gather under the theme, A New Birth of Freedom, Reigniting the American Dream. This is a moment to reflect and recommit to the truths that make America exceptional, that our rights come from God, not government, that among those rights are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and that government exists to secure those rights, not to redefine them. Join national leaders, scholars, policymakers, and other principled voices for 2 days of serious conversation about where we've been and where we must go next. Registration opens soon. Learn more at westernconservativesummit.com. That's westernconservativesummit.com. We'll continue with your phone calls and texts. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader, News Talk 710, KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Trump cutting TANF $10 billion that was slated for 5 Democrat-led states. California, Illinois, Colorado being one of them as well. So he's going after the blue states, claiming he's concerned about fraud. Who is it here? Oh, Deputy HHS Secretary Jim O'Neill. Families who rely on child care and family assistance programs deserve confidence that their resources are used lawfully and for their intended purposes. Minnesota getting a cut, too, after nearly current reporting, $1 billion of fraud through these Somali-run daycare centers. So, is this warranted, or is this cold-hearted political retribution? Text messages all over on this one. Suzanne saying, not particularly only blue states, but it is politics. But in this case, the announcement yesterday was 5 blue states. Gabe texting in about the Raiders.
Yeah, he and I are talking Raiders.
Okay.
Would Harbaugh make a good coach for the Raiders? I think it would be, but...
Cap Hill Phil, given the scale of the fraud, what's the difference between another month of funding or not? Why punish people who've done nothing wrong to find the bad actors? Why not keep the money going and then imprison and see it for restitution against the fraudsters? Well, one part, Cap Hill Phil, they don't get the money back. They've gotten some of it, but it's just a tiny portion because some of this money was spent overseas in the $1 billion fraud in Minnesota. Trump is all about collective punishment, Capitol Hill writes. In order to change actions, that makes sense if there are people in power who are being punished, I suppose. But people in poverty have no power, and it's probably more valuable for the left to be able to say, look at what horrible things Trump is doing to these people, rather than helping them. Poverty is always a football. Being checkered, saying, I'm pretty sure my family is one of very few at my kids' daycare that does not use TANF. I'm curious how this will look if this freeze stretches on. Also, as far as whether or not it's just Trump being mean, maybe yes, just being that FAFO parent to the states that didn't want to play nice. I mean, in part, you've had the state now on 40 lawsuits against Donald Trump, not sharing data with them regularly. We've been able to show how federal funding, even though it's not allowed to go towards services for illegal immigrants, blue states have found ways around that. It's called the California loophole. The state using its own funding to provide services to illegal immigrants. The state now in budget deficit. The city of Denver in a budget deficit, laying off 170 of its own employees, not filling 600 of its own jobs. So you have lots of money, record amounts of money, going places where I don't think there's a lot of transparency. The city of Denver saying it can't account for 1/3 of its own spending on homelessness. And then you don't see any improvement, any results coming from all this. I think there's fraud everywhere. And then here's why I think the Democrats are ultimately really worried about this. This money goes to programs, typically nonprofits, who then kind of launder the money and it finds its way back into the campaign coffers of Democrat politicians. That's where they're real concerned. Do they really care about getting people out of poverty? I don't think so. I don't think so at all, because you don't see the results of that. Where are the people going, thank God, because of this Democrat policy, I am now free of poverty? It maintains them in the poverty. It makes them dependent upon the state. The money then flows into these nonprofits, which then gets turned back into campaign contributions. It's all a grift to keep Democrats in power. Is Trump right to freeze it?
Oddly, I disagree. I bet nobody expected that one this morning. What? Not on a Wednesday. That's silly at 8:30 in the morning. There's no way I would disagree with Jeff on that. I do disagree. I think there are some problems inside of TANF, and I think part of it has to do with that T. It is the temporary assistance, and I think the cycle as far as how long people are on it should be examined. I also do think that, yes, absolutely, you should be looking at potential fraud. Where I disagree with the Trump administration is here, he's assuming guilt without proof. He has assumed that this is happening. He has made the determination and then suspended funding. He hasn't suspended funding because of a determination. And inside of Minnesota, I think the investigation into that fraud started 2021, 2022. So it's been going on for a while. And the two major individuals involved, one Somali, one born and bred American. It was an American that was right at the top of the food chain in that entire problem in Minnesota that was leading most of it. And she had been convicted earlier this year, and so had the partner. And so the system was working, not necessarily as quickly as we'd want it to, finding out the fraud and then hopefully holding people responsible. I would say that if you want to stop the fraud, then you go and you find the fraud and then you prosecute them. That was the whole Doge thing. I haven't seen any prosecutions come out of Doge for fraud, but they were going out there finding the fraud, waste, and abuse. Did a lot of cuts, did a lot of moving things around. I don't have a single prosecution for fraud based on what Doge was looking for. And I use that as an example because what we're doing here is we're making the same assumption, that there absolutely is fraud, and now if we suspend the funds, then we'll find it.
But isn't this part of the problem with the program itself, is that you end up throwing a ton of money, and then we've got to go pay people to investigate whether or not there's fraud associated with the program.
But so it's better to suspend the program and pay people to investigate the fraud? You're still spending the money.
No, you're not. You don't have to. You don't have to spend
on the investigation.
Billions of dollars through these programs.
The issue is this. The issue is the spend on the investigation, because your argument was we're spending the money on these programs and then we have to pay a second time to investigate.
Correct.
So if we suspend the money, we're not preventing necessarily all of the fraud per se, but the other part is you're preventing legitimate claims from happening. So what you're doing is you're saying all the claims need to be punished so that we can find the minority of claims. That's dumb. That's like arresting
it's not.
Yes, it is.
This is my exact point.
No, it isn't.
You guys, it's a worse
dumb.
sin to cut the program than it is to commit fraud in the program.
No, it's not cut the program. We can take cuts. We can look at that. That's different. The idea of suspending it over the idea of fraud, that we can't find the fraud unless we suspend the program. When you go down to a bar and you're getting kicked out of the bar at 1:30 in the morning, the cops don't stand outside and arrest everybody for drunk driving and then sort it out later. They don't come with the assumption that everybody they see is guilty, but that's the assumption here. The assumption from the Trump administration is that everybody on TANF is committing some sort of a fraud. So we must suspend it to stop the fraud. Then we can go find to see if the fraud is actually existing.
You don't see a program that spends billions of dollars and never gets anybody out of poverty fraudulent in itself?
Here's the thing is, it depends on what we're talking about, getting people out of poverty. TANF is a temporary program. Many of the people that are on that program go in and go out. We can talk about reasons for it, etc., but those are somewhat larger conversations. The issue here is focusing on the fraud that Trump is alleging inside of the program that he can't prove yet. That's the problem I have. I have an issue with an administration assuming crime without any proof. That's a problem fundamentally for me.
Suzanne texting in, why do the richest of you always take from the poorest of us? That's that wonderful socialist mindset that the money that's being forced out of the bank accounts of producers by the government and handed to people in these programs is somehow not the problem. But if you want to keep your own money, now you're robbing from the poor. They're so committed to taking money from people, robbing their bank accounts and redistributing it. And if you say, well, that's problematic, you're greedy? What? All right, let's go to Joan in Lakewood. Good morning, Joan. You're on with Jeff and Bill.
Morning.
Good morning. I believe that it is a win-win by shutting it off. It is holding things accountable, and there's a little bit of payback. And I think that if you're going to go down the middle of the road, you have to see it reasonably like that.
So, Joan, are you okay with the payback mechanism? That functionally what we should be doing then, what we should expect from the executive branch is political payback. That's what we should expect going forward?
It's not political payback.
Okay, then what kind of payback is it? Because it's your term, not mine.
It's payback when you're not holding yourself accountable. It's the same thing that happens in families. When I didn't take out the trash, I didn't get my allowance.
But what about, did your parents ever not give you the allowance by assuming you didn't take out the trash without seeing it? Did they just say, hey, Joan, we know you didn't take out the trash? They have no proof of that, but then they suspended your allowance. Did that happen?
I know you regularly have proof that your children stuff the trash can as much as they can. And I'm pretty sure you could make that assumption right now and to the level of trash that's in the trash can. And yes, there were times when I went to college, my mother said, you will write me a letter every week. And if you don't write me the letter, the check is not in the mail.
Did they ever not send the check before the letter? Did they ever decide before you sent the letter that, nope, you're not getting the check because, Joan, we know you're not sending a letter?
Yes.
So they knew. So before you actually made the action, that they made the decision to not send you the letter despite what your action was going to be. Because that's the question.
Here's a good text from Chest Rockwell on this issue. The most effective process to weed out fraud occurred during the government shutdown as people had to reapply for EBT benefits all over again. Each case can be reviewed as it comes in. Wouldn't that be the best way to weed out fraud? Make everybody reapply by cutting it off?
And I think that when you shut it down, then you can do forensics. That you can, they do forensic audits all the time.
Got a question though, Joan. Joan, hang on a sec though. But when they're doing forensic audits, do they shut down the company?
Yes.
No, they don't.
No.
No, Joan, that happens in some cases, but a lot of times when audits are done, they are done during the process that the company is still functioning. They don't close the company. They go in and they take a look at audits. At Turning Point USA, Charlie Kirk had audits performed yearly. They didn't shut down Turning Point while the audit was going on.
But what if the states are refusing to cooperate, as Mary from Wyoming points out? All these blue states constantly suing. We're not going to share this data with you.
But again, that's a what if and an assumption of crime that we have no proof of being committed. This is guilt before any proof. That's the problem I have with this assumption here.
You don't think there's fraud in TANF? There's plenty of fraud in TANF.
I think there is fraud in TANF, but the assumption that it's all fraud in TANF and the only way to find it is to stop giving the money is an assumption of everybody having guilt without any proof. Again, we don't arrest everybody in the bar for being a drunk driver. Until we do that, what are we doing here?
The whole program relies upon stealing people for money. Go ahead. Money from people.
I can tell you that police will watch bars, and you come out of bars, and you get in the car, and you drive crazy down the street. They'll pull you over, and they make an assumption that you drank too much while you were in that bar. And I'm pretty sure 90% of the time they're correct.
Joan, Lakewood, appreciate the call. Thanks so much. Hope to see you Saturday, Joan. Joan's line will be open 303-696-1971. Let's go to Cap in Lakewood. Good morning, Cap. You're on with Jeff and Bill.
Hey, good morning, fellas.
Morning.
It's I just want to make a simple point, and again, I don't know all the details, but it seems obvious to me. Wasn't it 2006? John Hickenlooper created the Road Home program. He told everybody, hey, I need your money so that I can fix the homeless problem here in Colorado. And he told everybody that it would take him 10 years. So by the time 2016 would come around, he would have everything whipped into shape. And it's obvious to me by living here, not only did nothing happen by 2016, I think it was exasperated by a multiple 5 by then. And then now 9 or 10 years later, it's 2026. And the homeless problem, once again, has increased even more.
Yep.
So I would like to know where all the money went, because obviously nothing happened with the Road Home program.
Well, it did. It was a jobs program.
Investigation. How about a state investigation into John Hickenlooper and find out where all the money is and where did it go?
It went to nonprofits who then found ways to donate them back to the candidates. Look, Democrats don't care about the poor because the poverty level's at the same rate it's always been. So whatever you're doing is not working, but you don't see this great effort from them to change anything. They just need more of your money. Here's what drives me up the wall, Cap, okay? My family, probably like yours, probably like everybody else listening to this, makes budget decisions. We don't eat out as much. We work harder than we've ever been working before. We're paying higher taxes than we've ever been paying before. Life's not easy for the rest of us, okay?
Yeah.
And the government comes in, takes that money, hands it to programs that don't solve any problems, create dependency upon people, and ultimately fill the coffers of people that just write campaign checks back to the same government officials that stole my hard-earned money to hand to these programs in the first place. That system is corrupt. It's evil. I'm tired of it. It's not compassionate. And I'm tired of Democrats and progressives out there saying, oh, we just need more of your money. Baloney, you don't need more of my money. We're working harder. You can't prove you can solve anything. Quit robbing me.
Yeah. Now, see, I agree with you. And that's what I'm saying. I mean, it's obvious. It's obvious to someone who is middle-aged to older. We've lived through this, and it's obvious that there is corruption and money laundering going on somewhere and somehow, because when they make promises, they say they're going to do something. Nothing ever pans out. It's all a bunch of pillow talk in the beginning so that they can get elected. And once they're elected, then they start doing their little dirty deals behind closed doors. So it's like, it's just obvious to me that there must be corruption. So we have to find the proof. And in defense to Bill, I agree. You have to prove things before you take actions on them. That's the way our system and courts of law work. So I totally agree. We got to get the proof and then take it to the court, and that's just how it goes.
Cap, Lakewood, appreciate the call.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk Dan Caplis with Dan Caplis Law. Dan suggests you should choose a lawyer who shares your values because who you choose to represent you in an injury case says a lot about you to everyone involved in the case. Dan Caplis, the son of a police officer and a former seminarian who's dedicated the last 40 years of his life to helping people who've been hurt in serious motor vehicle crashes. Dan is believed to be the only lawyer in Colorado history to win 5 straight multi-million-dollar verdicts in Colorado crash cases. Dan is also believed to have won the largest truck crash verdict in Colorado state history. Dan Caplis Law, the official law firm partner of the Denver Nuggets and the Colorado Avalanche. Dan Caplis Law's serious firm for serious cases. Dan accepts righteous injury cases on a percentage fee basis so that he can represent good people from all walks of life without regard to ability to pay. So if you need Dan's help, give him a call. Here's the phone number, 303-770-5551, 303-770-5551, or hit dancaplisLaw.com. That's Dan, C-A-P-L-I-S law.com. We'll continue with your phone calls and text. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show.
This is Denver's Talk Leader, News Talk 710, KNUS.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Headline out of the Denver Post: Trump administration freezes Colorado funding for child care and families in deep poverty. The White House is halting more than $10 billion that was slated for 5 Democrat-led states. It's just wise stewardship, especially in light of the fraud in Minnesota. Billions of dollars. It needs to be frozen to figure out what's going on. These blue states aren't playing with the Trump administration, handing over data, or is this political retribution? Tina Peters still in prison. Now Trump is withholding TANF from starving families? That's what Brittany Pedersen said. Join the conversation. Give us a call on the phone lines, 303-696-1971. Text us on the Dan Capitalist Law text line, 720-819-5115. Let's go to John in Littleton. Good morning, John. You're on with Jeff and Bill.
Morning.
Hey, good morning, guys. I just wanted to say that I think it's just Trump, as usual, cleaning up all of the Biden administration's incompetencies, starting with, and like Minnesota, Bill said that the investigation started 21-22, and I'm sure they found something, but I don't think the Democrat administration is going to go after Minnesota, another huge Democrat state. Maduro, convicted under Biden, never did anything. Iran soft-pedaled the whole thing. Trump comes in, cleans it up. There we go.
I don't think Maduro was convicted of anything under Biden. I don't think we've held any sort of a trial.
He was indicted. Yeah, Maduro was indicted.
But again, that's lots of things are indicted across there. But the issue for me that I want to talk to you about, John, is the idea of the investigation proving the fraud. What do you do with the fact that here it appears if we suspend the TANF funds for Colorado, it's an assumption of fraud without an investigation or proof? Are we okay with that? Are we okay with the federal government and the functioning of how we enforce these rules and laws to be guilt first, investigate after?
Well, no. I agree with that part, that we should have some investigation. But Colorado was one of those states that refused to turn over the SNAP information to the government, the names. And so here we go. They asked for that months ago to verify, the old trust but verify Ronald Reagan. And Colorado was one of the states, all Democrat states, of course. And so what do? If people don't want to play ball, you finally bring down the hammer.
I'm with you. Bill, response?
The thing for me is that I'm not certain that just because they don't have the information from Colorado based on SNAP, they're still assuming fraud. So this is punitive. It's a punishment for.
Billy, we know money is going to illegal immigrants here in the state.
Hang on a sec.
We know that.
But the issue is you don't know where, you don't know how, you don't know the function. And just stopping the payments is just cruel. The cruelty is the point, because there are people out there that legitimately deserve the money that won't get it. So what we're saying is, in order to make sure that these people aren't getting money they're not entitled to, everyone else needs to suffer. That's crap. That's absolutely ridiculous.
The state has reserves. They can come in and provide the funding. John, I'll give you the last.
To assume guilt,
I'll give you the last word. Go ahead, John.
Well, as Obama said, election has consequences. I'll just leave it at that.
John Littleton, I
point.
appreciate the call. Thanks so much. John's line will be open if you want to join the conversation. 303-696-1971. Let's go to Frank in Denver. Good morning, Frank. You're on with Jeff and Bill.
Morning.
Morning, guys. I think it's almost like that 2008 real estate crisis, and they got in. Everybody was just stating their income and not proving it. And I'm not sure. Billy's talking about we don't have the proof. Unfortunately, the government is so large and the money involved are so large that it takes 5 years, one full 4-year presidential term, to try to document what's going on. I don't think we know where we are. I just heard a factoid this morning on Chris DeGaulle that I didn't know, that when you get awarded Medicaid in Wisconsin, you also are signed up to vote. Is that true in Colorado?
Not for Medicaid, no, but yeah, I think you're automatically registered to vote the minute you get a driver's license here.
Well, so it's even more prevalent, but what that's doing back there is almost buying a voting base. In other words, I don't know how many people in Minnesota are on the Medicaid rolls. It'd be nice to know, and it'd be nice to know the breakdown of their status: Republican, Democrat, Independent.
How is that buying votes? That's what your claim was there.
Well,
Explain that to me.
It's implied by nature but it needs to be verified that if they are being given, state funds, that they should vote a certain way. I mean, that's not yet provable, but I think it needs to be looked into. And I don't even know if they know how many people are on, how much they're getting.
Here's the thing, Frank, is I think you're assuming a whole lot of political insight and engagement in that demographic that we have no proof of.
Well, you think they're Republicans,
no,
Bill?
Hang on. I'm not talking. Hang on a sec. I'm not talking about that. That's the issue. Is we're assuming, these people that are very, very poor are obviously connected or tied to a political party. And it's very important to them. Hang on. Wait. No, let me finish this. Please give me a space to finish this. The assumption that because someone signs up for a program, they're then going to vote either D or R, I think is dumb because of the political engagement that we see inside of that demographic. They are not that politically active nor engaged. So the assumption that they are going to sign up for a program and then look for which political party gave it to them, I think is a fallacy.
Bill, that's exactly how it works, and I got
two
words for you. Ilhan Omar. Go ahead.
Bill, it takes
she's not on
5 years.
For
It takes
Snap.
5 years, by what we've seen, by historical evidence, that it takes 5 years to even find this out. So we're down the road 5 years in a new presidency or a different presidency, possibly. So we don't even know where we are. That's the typical story of the government.
Now, Frank, why couldn't we focus more of our resources on that investigation? If it is that important to find out the fraud, look at Doge. Where's the fraud that Doge was supposed to uncover? We don't have any of that. So the idea of a quick investigation was silly.
They had no enforcement power. They were only revealing.
It doesn't matter. Once they reveal, though, there should be indictments. The indictments should happen at the DOJ. There's no indictments.
Now, I'm the one calling for proof.
Exactly. So, Doge had no proof. They did it quickly. They did it messy, and they had no proof. That's part of the problem.
Well, that's what I'm saying. By stopping these things temporarily and evaluating the people that are getting them, they can do it pretty quickly now with all the computer electronics of documenting people's income status. We're not talking about...
You can check that status now.
I think part of the problem is look at how dependent we are on government. We cut off TANF, and then all of a sudden, it's terrible. People are going to be dying in the streets.
I think you ought to give them all a copy of Dave Ramsey's Total Money Makeover.
I agree. All right, we got to run, Frank. I appreciate the call.
Thanks, Frank.
Trisha Calaverse is up next. You're listening to Jeff and Bill.
This is KNUS.